Hey Aries, I'm Empress Rose and we're here for your general reading. So it's a general reading, so take what works for you, leave what doesn't. Check your sun, moon, rising, and Venus for other insights into your what might be going on for you this week. So as always, these cards are pre-shuffled very thoroughly and prayed over and prepared for you. All right, so what do we have for Aries this week? Aries. What do we have for Aries this week? What do we have for Aries this week? All right, that's enough. It's enough story. Oh my, okay, this is awesome. Okay, we are starting out with keys on trees. This is this memory that is trapped up here. You're trapped. This is a sense of feeling of having been caged in a very unusual environment. You did not put yourself up there. You're not responsible for this caging. You have the ability to get yourself out. These trees are full of keys. You have a trunk. You're grabbing the keys. You're going to figure it out. You're in the process of figuring out how to get out of this weird spot that you're in. I have a sense that it is a memory or something that's trapped up there, that you're stuck in some sort of situation with a memory. There is some light. There's a lot of self-reflection going on here. It's not very clear, but things are clearing. This is a sense of things clearing, things getting clear, things opening up, starting to see more clearly. And that's happening with the process of the keys and with the weather depicted in this card. You're going to get back down to the ground, back where you feel more comfortable, back where you're happier. You are going to get there. It's just needing to see more clearly, needing to see yourself more clearly, needing to see yourself in the situation more clearly, needing to find the right perspective. So keep playing with perspective, with what if I looked at it like this way? What if I looked at it like this? Like, keep exploring. You're in an exploration process that's going to get you back down to the ground and get you grounded again. Here we also have House of Flowers, a very popular card lately. I love it because I just love these. I mean, this is like the rose that I have on my pictures everywhere. This big, fluffy rose, just very extravagant and generous. And we have, this is also my Jane of Eyre card. We have this, or Jane Eyre. We have this plain looking building up on this hill, but inside we have this really rich interior. We have two women dressed in white. This card, I just love it. It's got this Jane Eyre, this Emily Dickinson. It's got all this really sweet vibe to it that I don't know, I just love that time period and that kind of thing. So the house is fairly plain. It's up on the hill, but look, it's popping open like a roll of biscuits. This beauty is just popping out here and busting out of this house. So there's a House of Flowers, to me, is about something very stable, but also very generous and rich coming forward. There's a companionship here too, and it is sort of an isolation, sort of a retreat card too. Like this house isn't in the middle of a city. It's off on its own little hill. It's very isolated, but it's got this. So it's got this generosity to it that's really overflowing. Just lots of love and lots of joy and lots of happiness in this companionship, in this home that you have. It's a lot of sweetness in the home. House of Flowers. Then we have Pure Nature. This is a maturing process. It's an irreversible maturing process. The bud, it does not, once the flower blooms, it can't go back to being a bud. So this card to me has a little bit of I wouldn't say grief, but it has that passage of time and that development of things and the way that we move forward and we don't go back. So once you develop into an adult physically, you'll never be that child again that that being without boobs, that being without, you know, unless you have surgery and that kind of thing, but without, you know, a massive intervention, you don't go back, and you wouldn't go back to being a child anyway. So anyway, but you wouldn't go back to, you can't, once you leave childhood, you don't go back. So once you leave this bud state and blossom, it's something extremely beautiful to be celebrated. It's this natural growth, flowering process, but it is somewhat irreversible, and there's a little bit of grief in that we can't ever go back to in more innocent states, to more simpler states. And that's a little bit, we have blooming here. So there's a lot of blooming going on, a lot of blossoming of a relationship, blossoming of a home situation, blossoming of yourself and who you are and your soul and your spirit, being called forward into a new way of being in the world. So lots of blossoming, lots of beauty, lots of roses here, and then we got this trapped thing over here. So maybe you're becoming untrapped, and you're gonna grow. I mean, this is where you're starting out, and you're growing out of a situation where you feel stuck and you feel trapped, and you're starting to enjoy this growth and enjoy this beauty, and really understand that, and come out of this trapped place, this stuck place, into a place of growth, and a lot of growth. So looks like you're leaving some sort of stuck vibe or trapped vibe, and growing out of it. Growing out of it. I never really thought of this card as being like growing out of something. I always thought it was like more busting out of, you know, an entrapped situation. So that's interesting. Okay, Santa Muerte Tarot for the body of the reading. What do we have for Aries this week? Again, these have been very thoroughly pre-shuffled. Is it past, your present, your inner landscape? What's at issue? Your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome? Oh, wow. We have a lot of completions of cycles, which is what the vibe I'm getting here is. It was more like completing cycles, blooming, but once you bloom, you bloomed. Like, you're on to the next step, the seed creation. So, but I am seeing a lot of transformation here. A lot of, you've got 2 10s, so you got half the 10s in the deck. So that's a completion. In your recent past, you have this 9 of Wands. You had to make a lot of decisions of what was going to work for you, what wasn't going to work for you. So this is the harvesting energy, sort of a harvesting of ideas, but the harvest is also about cutting down, you know, so you cut down the plant so that you can take what you need from it and leave the ground open for the next thing to grow. So this is, you know, if you grow corn, you got to cut those corn stalks down, you take the corn, you harvest the corn, but now you don't have the corn stalks. So you had to cut some things out in order to get what you wanted. So that happened in your recent past. This 9 of Wands was a harvesting energy. So you got what you wanted, but you definitely had to make some tough decisions and some difficult choices in that process. In your present moment, you have this devil energy. You're being pulled by something you don't understand. This is the, I don't know what possessed me to do that situation. So that's in your present moment. You're being pulled forward. You're being pulled into something that you don't understand and you don't have a lot of clarity on. But there's something instinctual driving you towards it that might be a soul contract type thing. This is a contracts, the devil can, the devil's in the details kind of thing. Like, we can have these contracts and you're feeling that pull of some sort of soul contract that you don't understand. So this thing, this inspired thing, this passionate thing is really pulling you forward. It might be a more creative endeavor than what you were initially wanting to set out doing. Maybe you were going to be more logical than you thought, and instead you're finding this this illogical place inside you where you're being pulled and you don't quite understand it. There are forces outside of our control. And in this deck in particular, the Devil card is not bad. It's just about things we don't understand pulling us. It's the bedeviled energy. It's the I don't know what possessed me to do that energy. So you might hear yourself saying that. And it has to do with a passion that doesn't necessarily make sense and doesn't have a lot of logic. So in the present moment, you're feeling some sort of passion. I feel like what you're being pulled to is you're blooming. And you don't understand it because you've never bloomed before. You've been a bud before, but you've never bloomed before. And this energy is pulling you. I mean, look at the red here. This energy is pulling you into a blooming situation. And it's hard to understand that feeling and that pull and that draw. You don't quite get it because it's a force outside of you. It's a force you can't see. So in your inner landscape, we have this 10 of Cups. We have this sense of, I mean, what's so funny is you've got this real inside-outside vibe going on here throughout this whole reading. You've got things going on outside of you that aren't necessarily matching things going on inside of you. Inside, outside, we've got this dull exterior and this rich interior. So maybe, you're further on the bud, like, you've got this flower inside you, but the world's just seeing this bud. So there's some sort of inside outside. Your insides aren't connecting with your outside because inside you have this maximum happiness, peace, tranquility. Well, actually, here we have this maximum inside, maximum tranquility, peace, happiness, joy, flowering going on inside. And that's the same here. This is, this is a lot of tranquility, a lot of happiness. This is a village full of happiness, joy, and love, and everything you need. And you have that inside of you. So you have a sense of that. So that's a really cool thing to be carrying around inside you, is your sense of fulfillment. So what's going on inside is a emotional fulfillment. You feel very emotionally fulfilled. Yeah, you've had to make some hard decisions. Yeah, there's a part of you that feels trapped or stuck in a situation, or did, and you feel very emotionally fulfilled right now inside of you. So that's cool. That's cool. Way to go, Aries. Way to go. Okay, at issue, you have the 7 of Pentacles. So this would be needing to, doing some calculating. This is saying that you need to do some calculating. Or, so this is like calculating, counting your money, counting your coins. So you are either not in control of your money as much as you should be, in control of sort of some of the physical aspects of your existence as you should be, in control of your house, in control of your house cleaning, in control of your budget. You're not doing that quite yet. And that could be causing a little bit of an issue for you right now. It could be also over-controlling your money. Money is here to flow a little bit, and we all have budgets, or we should all have budgets. If you don't need a budget, I can't imagine why you would be watching this. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm going to think about that because I'm not sure I agree with what I just said. But I mean, for the most part, we all have budgets, and we all need to have budgets. And if you don't have a budget, you're going to get in some kind of trouble. Even if you have a lot of money coming in, you still need to have a budget. So but we can't have our budget down to the penny, which I've tried before, and it doesn't quite work very well. It's awful. Even though you think you need to have it down to the penny, don't try to have it down. So it could be like overly controlling your budget and not letting the money flow through in the way it needs to be. Or it could be letting way too much money out and not letting enough in, and your reservoir is going to be dry in no time. So you're having some sort of kind of issue right now around calculation, around keeping your coins together, around organizing things, around calculating things. You're either not doing it or you're doing it way too much. So something's gone wrong around calculations, or there's been a miscalculation. Could it really be a miscalculation? You were trying to calculate things, but you kind of didn't quite calculate for everything, which nobody can, right? We can't calculate for everything. That's what both makes life interesting and wonderful and terrifying. at the same time. In your environment, you have this Six of Pentacles. You're waiting for something. You're not waiting very patiently. You're tick-tocking. You have to wait. Your environment isn't moving. There's nothing in your environment happening this week. It just is what it is. It's going to look the same at the beginning of the week as it does at the end of the week. Even though we're feeling like we're busting out, we're finding our keys, we're feeling like blooming on the exterior, things around our lives aren't moving at all. It's just time is passing. That's what. So the week is going to begin, the week is going to end, and time will have passed is basically what's going on in your environment, is the passage of time. And it may be feeling a little slow to you right now. So your to-do list is this Three of Wands. This is keep growing. Just keep growing. You've got these ideas, you've got this inspiration, and now, like, with the Ace of Wands, you can actually see the moonlight. The moon's out. With the Three of Wands, the moon's not even out. But you still need to head in the direction that's drawing you, that's pulling you. You need to head in that direction, even though there's not even any moonlight to help you, okay? But you know the direction you've got to head. These plants need to head up. It's inspired, it's intuitive. You're heading in this direction. You don't know why. You can't see the sun, you can't see the moon anymore. You can't even see the reflected light of the sun. But this is just keep going. I mean, keep blooming. Look, we have these red blooms up here. Keep blooming, keep growing. Keep going in the direction of, I don't know what possessed me to do that, but I did it. We have a message here. We have a book. Virtue. So head in that direction with as much integrity as you can, okay? And then we have a message here, not sent. We have this bird here. There's someplace you're going, and there's something you want to communicate, but you're not ready to yet. And this is saying that's okay. If you're not ready to, don't communicate it yet. But do continue following your intuition. Do keep growing. Do keep blooming and blossoming this week. Even though you might not be seeing the results yet, you do need to keep growing in the direction that you've been growing. Possible outcome here is the Ten of Pentacles. So Ten of Pentacles, this is a completion of a cycle. And in this deck, this is one hell of a completion of a cycle. Like this home, this place where you're at, something about, you know, actually the ground beneath your feet in a physical place you're at, a job, a home. I mean, you can't, like, all the Arieses can't be like, you know, leaving their homes and their jobs at the same time. So there's something though about your situation as a possible outcome is it's completely outlived its usefulness. There's something about the ground beneath your feet is going to eventually not be able to produce anything anymore. It's going to get worn out. And this is a completely dilapidated village that's completely used up, has nothing more to give. The houses are falling apart because they just were lived in for so long. So where you're at right now, it looks like eventually, you know, you do need to understand that you will be moving on from this space. This isn't going to be here forever. You've gotten everything you need from this space, and it's changed. It's going to eventually change, and there's not going to be anything left for you here. You'll have acquired everything you need to acquire, except for you're going to leave with coins. You're going to leave with some money. But this whole sort of village that raised you and brought you up and helped you flower, it's time to leave. It's going to be time to leave something like that behind. It doesn't have anything left for you. But you are going to be leaving with a treasure chest full of money, some sort of inheritance, some sort of you know, savings or something like that. There's going to be something real and tangible that you are going to take from this place, but you are going to have to leave this place eventually, whatever that means to you. So that's a possible outcome that we're looking at. But that's what happens. I mean, that's the vibe here. You grow. That's what I was talking about. You got to grow. You got to keep growing. You got to keep heading into the place of your intuition, where it's calling you, where these things are calling you. You got to keep going there. It's going to be you're going to feel good doing it. You're going to feel good blooming like this. But once you've bloomed, you can't go back to being unbloomed. And that's a little bit of what this is about, is like, once you've used up this whole situation, there's no more to go. You gotta take your coins. You gotta take what you've got and gotten from this situation and leave to find a new place. I mean, that's what these feet are here for. So there's a completion of a cycle, and it's time to move on from something that brought you a lot. I mean, a lot of our directions are redirections, right? Like, we think we're going, I want to do this, and it calls to us and it brings us towards that. And so then it ends up that we're in this right spot, and then we can see the actual spot where we're going next. So life is full of redirections. I think it's actually very weird to have a life that doesn't have a bunch of redirections. So you're going to be heading in a direction, and this is just saying, be prepared to get redirected once you get there, because once you get there, you're going to need to see the next spot. You're going to need to see that blooming. Yeah, there's something after blooming. It's called developing the seeds. So there's this whole life cycle, so we move on from things. We achieved our dream, and then once we get there, there's no shame in being like, and in fact, it's a natural part of life. Once you achieve your dream and get to your dream, to get there, enjoy it for a while, have the fun, and then be like, okay, and now what's next? And it's not that, doing that thing was wrong or you shouldn't have done it. It's that thing brought you to this new place. In this new place, you see new things, and then you move forward from there. So that's a little bit of what this card is. Some sort of cycle's ending, and you're taking the gifts that this cycle and this situation brought you. It brought you a lot of gifts, and you're taking it and you're moving forward with it. But that situation has outlived its usefulness. Much like this thing. Wow, you have this whole completing cycle. This thing where you had to, cut down your harvest, and in order to harvest, you had to cut down those plants in order to harvest them. Well, the plants were useless now. They brought you the gold kernels of corn that you wanted and that you needed, so you got rid of them, and you took the benefit of that and then moved on. So that's a little bit of the same thing here. You're taking the benefit of this whole cycle and situation, and then you're moving on to the next thing from that. So looks like there's just this whole little life cycle is what we dealt with here. Not quite understanding, following your intuition. This is making you very happy. Do a little more calculating, or a little less, depending on what part of that spectrum you fall on. And make sure you're just following your instincts, following your heart, and blooming. And that was a silly way to say that. Okay, so Aries, I hope that this was helpful for you, and I'm very grateful for your likes and comments and subscribes, and it's very fun to, I feel like a new mom that's like, oh, someone said my baby had a cute smile. That's so great. So it's very fun. So I really appreciate that. It's cool. Okay, hope you have a great week, Aries.